If you've lived in Minnesota for years, you probably think you know this state, but scattered across it are towns that completely vanished, and most people have no idea they ever existed. Some of these stories are disturbing, some are shocking, and number 3 will absolutely blow your mind. Number 13, Elor, St. Louis County. Almost 1,000 people lived in Elor, and every single one of them was told to leave. Located on the Mesabi Iron Range near the city of Gilbert in St. Louis County, Elor was a real, fully functioning town from 1897 to 1956. At its peak, close to 900 residents called it home. It had over 100 houses, a school, a hotel, churches, concrete sidewalks, a volunteer fire department, tennis courts, and an ice hockey team that was one of the best on the entire Iron Range. Families had been there for 2 and 3 generations. Kids were born there. People were buried there. It was a complete, living community. But the town was built entirely on company land, owned by the mining company that employed its residents. People could own their houses, but the ground underneath always belonged to the mine. Most people never thought about that. Why would you? By the early 1950s, the iron ore beneath Elor was running out. The Corsica mine, the last one keeping the town alive, shut down in 1954. The mining company then looked at the land and decided it was worth more as a strip mine than as a neighborhood. In 1955, residents received a written notice. Your community will be torn down. You need to leave. They had no legal right to fight it. They packed up and walked away from the only home most of them had ever known. By 1956, every single building was gone. The company then dumped loads of iron ore directly onto the roads leading in so that no one could drive back. Today, a working mine sits exactly where Elor stood. The only things left for years were a rusted fire hydrant at a street corner and a porcelain toilet still bolted to a concrete slab. That was all that remained of 900 lives. Number 12, Forestville, Fillmore County. Here is something most Minnesotans do not know. There is a ghost town in the southeastern corner of this state where you can still walk into a general store, and the shelves are still stocked with the same merchandise that was left there over 100 years ago. Nobody moved it, nobody cleaned it out. It has been sitting there since 1910. Forestville was settled in 1852 along a stagecoach route in Fillmore County. At its peak, around 150 residents lived there. 2 hotels, 2 general stores, a sawmill, a blacksmith shop, and a distillery, a working community, families putting down real roots. Then, in 1868, the Southern Minnesota Railroad was being built through the area and chose to run through Wyckoff and Spring Valley instead of Forestville. That one decision killed the town. No railroad meant no freight, no new settlers, no economic future of any kind. Merchants left almost immediately. Families followed one by one. As people emptied out, a store owner named Felix Megan began quietly buying up every abandoned property at prices nobody else would touch. By 1889, the Megan family owned the entire town, every building, every lot, every acre. And by 1910, even they closed their general store for the last time. 150 people gone. In 1949, the Minnesota legislature stepped in and preserved what remained as a state park. Today, you can walk through that original Megan store and see goods still sitting on the shelves exactly as they were left when the doors closed. Over 100 years later. It is one of the most remarkable things in this entire state, and most Minnesotans have never once been there. Number 11, Nininger, Dakota County. 4 miles northwest of Hastings, right along the Mississippi River, there is nothing but open farmland and 2 small markers in the grass. That is it. But in 1857, nearly 1,000 people were living right here, in a city that was being promoted as the future capital of Minnesota. And within 15 years, it was completely empty. Nininger was built by a man named Ignatius Donnelly, a politician and dreamer who had an extraordinary ability to make people believe in things. He advertised Nininger to immigrants on the East Coast and in Europe, promising a great Mississippi River city, and they came. Lots that sold for $6 in 1856 were selling for $300 by early 1857. 200 homes went up in the first year. Churches, stores, a newspaper. It felt unstoppable. Then the panic of 1857 hit, a nationwide financial collapse that wiped out land speculation across the entire country overnight. The population of Nininger dropped by half almost immediately. Then the railroad chose Hastings instead of Nininger, which was the final blow. Without rail access, there was no way to ship goods, no way to bring in supplies, no reason for any business to survive. Families left as fast as they had arrived. By the late 1860s, only one person remained: Ignatius Donnelly himself. He had put so much of his own money into Nininger that he could not afford to leave. He lived there alone for decades, writing books, running for political office, watching his dream disappear piece by piece. His mansion was torn down after he died in 1901. Today, there is nothing left but those two markers and a quiet river that most people drive right past without giving it a second thought. Number 10. Taunton, Lyon County. Taunton in Lyon County in western Minnesota is one of the quietest disappearances on this list, and one of the most familiar. When it was platted in 1886, it had around 200 residents and everything a small community needed: a post office, a city hall, a bank, a fire station, a school, a grain elevator. Enough to officially incorporate as a city in 1900. People raised their families there. They believed in it. What killed Taunton was simple. The town existed because the railroad ran through it. Every business, every delivery, every reason to live there depended on that rail line. When freight traffic dried up in the early 20th century and the railroad pulled back, the trains came less and less, and without them, the town had nothing holding it up. Young people left first, businesses followed. The families that stayed got older, and their kids did not come back. No villain, no disaster, just time, and a community the modern world walked past and left behind. Taunton today barely has 100 people. The life that once filled it is long gone. Number 9 is one of the most shocking things that has ever happened to a Minnesota town, and most people on the Iron Range still can't believe it. Number 9, Sparta, St. Louis County. If you grew up on the Iron Range, you know the name Sparta, but if you didn't, what happened here will absolutely blow your mind. Sparta was built in 1896 on the shore of Ely Lake near Eveleth. By 1905, it had 1,000 residents, its own water and electric system, a main street full of shops, 2 competing railroad depots, and a school serving families from all across the area. 2 rail lines ran through town. The lakeside setting was beautiful. The future looked completely set. Then a survey crew came through and started drilling test holes in the ground, in the streets, between the houses, and what they found changed everything. High-grade iron ore was sitting directly beneath the town, beneath the houses, the school, the shops, the sidewalks. A fortune in iron right under the feet of 1,000 people who had no idea it was there. The mining company moved fast. They offered buyouts to every property owner. One by one, families accepted. By 1908, entire buildings were being physically picked up and moved 2 miles away to the new town of Gilbert. By February 1911, the last residents gathered for a final vote and officially dissolved the town of Sparta. The mine moved in the next day. 1,000 people, a real neighborhood. 15 years of shared history. Winters survived together, children raised together, a community people had actually built with pride. And in the end, the ground under their feet was worth more than all of it combined. The Iron Range gave those families their living. And then it reached up and took their home right out from under them. Number 8, Manhattan Beach, Crow Wing County. You would think a town called Manhattan Beach in Minnesota Lake Country would be doing just fine. But Manhattan Beach today has just 63 permanent residents. 63. It is the smallest incorporated city in all of Crow Wing County. At its peak, Manhattan Beach had around 100 residents and the same beautiful lakes and summer skies as every other resort town in the area. The problem was that it was completely surrounded by better connected competitors. Cross Lake, Nisswa, and Pequot Lakes all had stronger road access and more developed waterfronts, and they captured the tourist traffic first. By the time Manhattan Beach was ready to grow, the summer visitors were already loyal somewhere else. Without tourist revenue, there was nothing to carry the town through Minnesota's long winters. no major employer, no reason for families to stay year-round when everything they needed was a long drive away in Brainerd. A few more people left every year, a few more businesses quietly closed, and the town has never stopped shrinking. 63 people is not a community hanging on, it is a community in its final chapter. Number 7. Beaver Falls, Renville County. Before we get into this one, if you are enjoying this video, hit that subscribe button now. We cover ghost towns history every single week, and it means a lot. Now, Beaver Falls. Most people in Minnesota have absolutely no idea this place ever existed, and when you hear how it died, you will understand why it belongs on this list. Beaver Falls was established in 1866 along Beaver Creek in Renville County. At its peak, it had 500 residents, a genuine county seat town with a post office, established businesses, and the county courthouse at the center of it all. For 40 years, it was the official heart of Renville County. A county seat does not just disappear, or so they thought. In the 1880s, the towns of Olivia and Bird Island pushed hard to move the county seat to a more central location. Olivia won the vote in 1900. The courthouse moved, the county records moved, the government jobs moved, and with them went every business that had depended on courthouse traffic. The stores could not survive without those customers. The post office lasted until 1904, then it too closed. 500 residents, 4 decades as the heart of the county, erased by a single vote. Today, Beaver Falls is a county park. Walk the trails and you can still find old foundations hidden in the grass, all that remains of what was once the most important address in Renville County. Number 6. Goodrich, Wadena County. Most people who live within 20 miles of where it stood have never heard the name. At its peak, around 150 people called Goodrich home. A post office, a school, a creamery, a general store, a church. Farming families who believed they were building something that would outlast them. What ended it was one thing: the branch rail line serving the area was abandoned. The moment it closed, the creamery lost its ability to ship milk and butter to market. Once the creamery went, the store lost its customers, the post office lost its route. There was no longer any practical way to run a business there, and without businesses, families had no reason to stay. The people of Goodrich were not people who quit. They were farmers working hard in a tough part of Minnesota, building something real. The decision that ended their town was made by railroad executives in a distant office, based on numbers that had nothing to do with their lives. Goodrich deserves to be remembered, not as a failure, but as a community that tried. Number 5. Leaf City, Norman County. Leaf City, Norman County, deep in the Red River Valley in northwestern Minnesota, where the soil runs thick and black, and towns in the 1870s and 1880s grew fast and died just as fast when the railroads went somewhere else. At its peak, Leaf City had around 75 residents. A post office, a few businesses, farming families who had filed their claims and started working the land. They had every reason to expect a railroad. The whole region was being built out. It was supposed to be just a matter of time. The railroad never came. Without rail access, farmers could not get grain to the elevators fast enough to compete with towns that had it. Supplies cost more coming in. One family at a time, people moved to towns on the actual rail line, where life was simply easier. The post office closed, the buildings rotted, the prairie took everything back. The people of Leaf City did everything right. A railroad map, drawn by men they never met, decided their town did not matter. And that was it. Stay with us. What is coming at number 1 is the most complete disappearance of any town on this entire list. Number 4. Normanville, Norman County. Right there in Norman County sat Normanville, and most people do not even realize there were 2 towns in this county that completely vanished for the exact same reason. Normanville was settled in the 1880s by farming families who built their homes and put together a real community. At its peak, around 100 people lived there. A post office, a school, a few small businesses, neighbors looking out for each other through brutal northwestern Minnesota winters. Like Leaf City just a few miles away, Normanville was counting on a railroad that never came. Shipping grain cost too much without it. Supplies were more expensive to bring in. The towns on the actual rail lines were simply easier places to live, and families followed. Within a generation, most of them were gone. If your grandparents farmed in this part of Minnesota, there is a real chance they knew people from a place like Normanville, people who built something hard-won out here and then had to walk away from it. Not because they quit, because a railroad map drew a line somewhere else. Number 3. Forest City, Meeker County. What if the official capital of your county just disappeared? Not moved, not renamed, completely erased. Open farmland where the courthouse used to be. Not a single marker. That is exactly what happened to Forest City in Meeker County. At its peak in the late 1850s, Forest City had around 250 residents and the county seat designation. A courthouse, county records, government offices, and all the commerce that follows. Settlers arrived with confidence. A county seat does not just disappear, or so they thought. Then the railroad came through Meeker County in 1869 and bypassed Forest City entirely, running straight to Litchfield. People and businesses moved to Litchfield almost immediately. That was where freight moved and where commerce was going to happen. The county seat was officially transferred to Litchfield that same year, following the crowd that had already left. The moment the courthouse moved, Forest City was finished. Buildings were stripped for lumber. The streets grew over. Today, the site of the old Meeker County Courthouse is open farmland. No marker, no monument. Most people in Meeker County today have never once heard the name Forest City. Number 2. Freeborn, Freeborn County. At its peak, the town of Freeborn had around 200 residents. A store, a school, a creamery, a post office, a church. Farming families who helped each other through hard harvests and early frosts, the way small Minnesota towns always did. The railroad bypassed the town, and the creamery lost its ability to ship product to market. Without the creamery, the store lost customers. Without the store, the post office had no purpose. One by one, the families that had held on finally made the painful decision to leave. At the Freeborn County Historical Museum, there is a map on the wall. White lights for the towns that survived, red lights for the ones that did not. Every red light is somebody's great-grandparents' hometown. If you grew up in Freeborn County, your family may have come from one of those red lights. Freeborn is one of them. Number 1. Pitt, Cochiching County. And here we are. Number 1. Pitt, Minnesota, Cochiching County. As far north as you can go before the land bumps up against the Canadian border and the forest just keeps going. No state park, no historical marker, no sign that anything used to be here. Pitt is the most completely gone town on this entire list. At its small peak, Pitt had around 100 residents, all of them there for one reason: a station on the Canadian Pacific Railway. That station was everything. It was why a general store opened, why a post office was established, why any family chose to put down roots in that particular stretch of deep northern forest. Then the Canadian Pacific shut the station down. Not profitable enough, no announcement, no fight. When it went, the post office had no route, the general store had no deliveries and no customers. There was no reason left to stay. They left, and the forest came back. Today, what remains of Pitt is a road sign and one old boarded-up general store. You can drive through in 30 seconds and never know you passed through a place where people once lived, where kids played outside in summer, where neighbors talked about the weather and the price of everything, where somebody called home. Pitt is number 1 because its story is the most honest version of what a ghost town really is. People chose a place, built a life, looked out for each other through the long, dark northern winters, and then the one thing holding it all together was taken away, and without it, there was nothing left to hold them. If you grew up in northern Minnesota, you know what that silence sounds like. Pitt is full of it, and somewhere underneath, there is still the memory of a community that tried. If you have lived in Minnesota your whole life, did you even know any of these towns existed? Drop the name of your hometown in the comments and let us know if there is a forgotten story near where you grew up. Subscribe for more Minnesota history every week. We have got a lot more to find.